After a while, young Longting's eyes darkened after reading what was in Cheng Dalei's letter. He asked Lai Shanyan, who was in front of him, if Cheng Dalei was losing his mind. Lai Shanyan responded that he wasn't sure what Cheng Dalei was thinking, so he decided to share it with Yang Longting so he could make a decision. Yang Longting mumbled that Cheng Dalei not wanting to send troops was reasonable. However, he didn't know what his actual position was. He added and told Lai Shanyan that the warehouse had a few hundred pairs of military boots to send to Cheng Dalei, and that if they could kill the boss bear, the rest of the supplies would be sent. Lai Shanyan was against the idea and asked if they would really give Cheng Dalei supplies. Yang Longting held the letter and told Lai Shanyan that they would send him his request just to see if he would send troops, as he was not yet rich enough to feed them with his own money. He stood up and inquired from Lai Shanyan about the situation at the Fuhu mountain. Lai Shanyan informed him that Luo Tai had already gone there, and with him were 1,000 soldiers and horses, along with the Green Forest bandits, totaling 2,000 people. He believed that in the next 2 days they would have news. Yang Longting asked Lai Shanyan to keep an eye on Luo Tai, as the topography of the Fuhu Mountains was complex. It was a largely mountainous area that was not easy for cavalry to attack. Lai Shanyan obeyed, and on that day, Luo Tai led 2,000 soldiers and sent troops to Mount Fuhu. And as a result, Luo Tai failed miserably. Fuhu Mountain's advantage of location drew the enemy deep into the mountain and separated the soldiers and horses. They were crushed one by one, killing hundreds of people and scattering 2,000 soldiers and horses in all directions. Only 1,000 people survived the flight back to Yuju City. Boss Bear had been a powerful and influential man for many years, so he was not reckless. A man was in disbelief that the king of Yuju had given them 500 pairs of military boots. Another man chuckled, as now everyone could do their job with 500 boots. While some others said that for them, they were not just military boots but the reputation of the Yang Longting, which they believed they had stepped on. Huang Senyuan informed Cheng Dalei about the news brought by the people of Yuju. The Luo Tai attack on Fuhu Mountain had almost been beaten to death by Boss Bear, and Yang Longting was enraged, so he demoted Luo Tai directly from general to a horseman who transported grain. Cheng Dalei responded with a scoff, telling Huang Senyuan that Luo Tai had used people carelessly, and Yang Longting had been very tolerant of him. Now, Luo Tai had just been demoted. Huang Senyuan closed his eyes and informed Cheng Dalei that after Luo Tai's defeat, Yang Longting had personally commanded the army and assembled another 1,000 soldiers and horses, and just the other day, he had sent troops to Fuhu Mountain. However, Boss Bear was not to be trifled with, and a long-drawn battle was to be expected. Cheng Dalei grinned as he had an idea to use Yang Longting to take a few more things from him, as he believed that the Toad Village didn't deserve less. He ordered Liu Zhihan to get him a pen and ink. Cheng Dalei took the brush and wrote a letter for Yang Longting. Concerned, Liu Zhihan asked him if it was okay to write it in that way, to which Cheng Dalei assured her that it was okay, as he was just half joking, pointing out a few things to him as he was tolerant. The worried Liu Zhihan responded that she was afraid Yang Longting would blame them, to which Cheng Dalei replied that he was also tolerant. After a while, Liu Zhihan passed the finished letter to the soldier to deliver it. Later that night, a voice was heard in a room moaning as she was hurt. Cheng Dalei asked her if he was doing it too hard, to which the voice responded to do it softer. Cheng Dalei was massaging Liu Zhihan's shoulders. Zhu Shenji aggressively opened the door, telling Cheng Dalei that something had happened. Cheng Dalei looked at Zhu Shenji, asking him what was wrong. Zhu Shenji's eyes were wide as he informed Cheng Dalei that Fuhu Mountain had been broken through. Cheng Dalei was in disbelief as it had not even been a day since Yang Longting attacked. Zhu Shenji informed Cheng Dalei that Yang Longting had personally led 1,000 soldiers and horses, including the remnants of the army Luo Tai had originally led. Zhu Shenji informed Cheng Dalei that Yang Longting had used the night to attack the village and had lured Boss Bear out of the village with a mock attack of 200 old and weak soldiers. Yang Lingting's main force had taken advantage of the fact that the village was empty and broken in, using the old and weak women and children of the hut as a shield to attack Boss Bear violently. It was reported that Boss Bear's wife and children had been killed in battle, and his men had suffered numerous casualties. He was fortunate to break out of the siege accompanied by some close friends. However, Boss Bear's whereabouts were still unknown. Cheng Dalei's eyes darkened while Liu Zhihan beside him couldn't care less after Zhu Shenji reported that Yang Longting had broken through the mountain in one night. from the beginning to the end of the battle in just only 2 hours. Shocked, Cheng Dale believed that it wouldn't take many troops to defeat the Toad village. He ordered Kin Man to ride and retrieve his letter. Kin Man didn't hesitate and quickly ran in the middle of the night. Kin Man caught up with the messenger who was resting at the post that night. He retrieved Cheng Dale's letter and handed over a newly written letter. Kin Man clasped his hand, informing the soldier that Cheng Dale had found a spelling mistake in the letter and had asked him to come over to replace it. The soldier gave him the letter. Meanwhile, in the middle of the forest, Cheng Dale and his men were camping. Cheng Dale told them that they were going to send troops to search for Boss Bear, who had escaped into the forest. The man voiced out his opinion, telling Cheng Dale that he was 63 years old in the current year and begged not to be sent out, as he could hardly hold the sword anymore. Cheng Dale responded that if he couldn't hold his sword, he should pass it to Little Lei. Little Lei, who flexed his arms, told Cheng Dale that he was strong and could carry it for his grandpa. Kin Man chimed in and told Cheng Dale that Boss Bear could be very fierce, as he had heard in the last few days that others who had been chased by him had been killed. He was worried that if only a few of them encountered Boss Bear, they wouldn't be enough to fight him. Cheng Dale grinned and told Kin Man what he had been talking about, as they hadn't had the bad luck to bump into Boss Bear. He told them that after that day's hike, they would return because the more dry food they ate, the more difficult it was to digest. Cheng Dale turned to Kin Man, who was grilling his food, and told him if he could hunt some animals to improve their diet, as he came from a hunting family. Kin Man smiled and responded that he couldn't hunt in the cold weather. He was alerted and noticed a bear in the nearby trees, which also made Cheng Dale turn to look at what he was talking about. The group hid in one of the bushes, and Kin Man wondered why the bear looked familiar, while Cheng Dale mumbled that all bears looked the same to him. Cheng Dale told Kin Man that it was now up to him, as he had also heard that bear paws were very complimentary. Kin Man leaped and landed on a tree as he held his spear in his hand, watching the bear. He took another leap and was about to plunge his spear behind the bear. After a while, Boss Bear's men asked him if they should look for the second master, as he was still lost. Enraged, Boss Bear ordered them to look for the second master, as he was almost like a brother to him. He was assured that the beast was very fierce, and if someone died somewhere because of the beast, he would reveal his whereabouts. When one of Boss Bear's men noticed smoke and informed him that someone was in front of them, Boss Bear told him to be quiet. Meanwhile, in Cheng Dale's camp, they grilled the meat on top of their campfire. He complimented Kin Man, telling him that he could really do well, as it just took one hit to kill the black bear. Kin Man told them that the bear seemed weak, otherwise, it would not have been so easy. Cheng Dale scoffed and told Kin Man not to be so modest, as well as telling him to try the grilled bear. Despite the fact that he couldn't hunt but was a great griller, they turned to look at their side and noticed Boss Bear standing and clenching his axe. Boss Bear cried and yelled for his dead bear, while Cheng Dale's group stared him dead in the eyes. Anxious, Cheng Dale told Boss Bear that he had no idea and invited him that he could have some instead. Enraged, Boss Bear with tears in his eyes screamed the name of his little brother. He yelled at Cheng Dale's group that he would take revenge for the bear as he charged towards them. Cheng Dale stood up and yelled at Boss Bear that he had been waiting for him for a long time and he was just in time. Boss Bear and his men halted. The man beside him asked what was wrong. Sweating, Boss Bear wondered if there would be an ambush. Cheng Dale grinned and told Boss Bear that by the order of Yang Longting, he had been waiting for him at the area for a long time and asked him to fight, as the last time they saw each other neither of them could claim victory. Boss Bear reasoned that Cheng Dale's group must have known it was his mount as they got his bear, believing that they dared to camp around the area and cooked a meal just to attract him. He gritted his teeth and claimed that there was an ambush nearby. As both groups glanced at each other, Boss Bear told Cheng Dale that he was not used to being a lapdog like him and that day he would cut him in half. Cheng Dale stared at Boss Bear, thinking if he scared him, believing that if they had a fight at the moment it would be a bloody battle. He wondered if he had to use his joker. Boss Bear yelled at his men, telling them that the situation did not appear to be right and ordered them to retreat as he ran first. Agitated, Cheng Dale yelled at Boss Bear where he was going, as he had to fight him for 300 rounds. Boss Bear turned to look at Cheng Dale as he was running away and laughed at him, telling him he wouldn't get ambushed by him, while Cheng Dale and his group were watching them retreat. Cheng Dale gave Kin Man a thumbs up and told him that they were going to get out of the forest. After a little while, a man asked Boss Bear where they were going, and Boss Bear responded that they were going east. He told his men that Cheng Dale thought they were going south and that he didn't know they turned around halfway, making them impossible to find. Boss Bear raised his axe and mumbled that after some time in hiding, they would occupy a mountain and eat and drink generously as they had before, promising his men that he would still be a boss in 3 years. The man beside Boss Bear praised him. Some time later, Boss Bear and his men hiked up the mountain when he noticed something moving behind the bushes. Cheng Dale and his men appeared. Cheng Dale turned around wide-eyed as he encountered Boss Bear again. Boss Bear's face darkened, and he couldn't speak a single word. Cheng Dale pointed at him and told him that he knew Boss Bear would come. Boss Bear retreated again and quickly ran, telling Cheng Dale that he was not finished with him. Cheng Dale sighed and vented at Kin Man, asking who had led the way. Kin Man scratched his head and suggested Cheng Dale should lead instead. Cheng Dale told them that they were going back up the mountain to find the official way back to the Toad Village, as it had been dangerous in the area. Kin Man inquired if they would meet Boss Bear again, to which Cheng Dale responded that they wouldn't be that unlucky. After a little while, they arrived at a village, and Cheng Dale sighed that they had finally gotten out. The bushes beside them moved and made a noise. Boss Bear appeared, mumbling that he didn't know how many ambushers were in the mountain village as they were no longer safe in the mountains. He informed his men that they would leave the mountain in the evening and find a family to rob. Boss Bear turned his head and noticed Cheng Dale, making his face darken. Cheng Dale and Kin Man's faces also darkened as they both thought they were unlucky. He asked Boss Bear if he believed in fate. Enraged, Boss Bear asked Cheng Dale why he had bullied them so much, while the man beside him informed Boss Bear that they no longer had the strength to run away. Boss Bear raised his axe and told Cheng Dale that he hadn't seen an ambush in the area, believing that Cheng Dale must have wanted to exhaust their fighting strength so he could fight them. The man beside Boss Bear also raised their weapon and told Boss Bear that they were going to fight with them as it was nothing th. They charged at Cheng Dale's group as Boss Bear ordered them to kill them. Cheng Dale readied himself, ordering Kin Man to protect the others as he would deal with Boss Bear and his men alone. He asked the system for the fusion skills, and that all martial arts in the world must be diligently learned and practiced, that the power must be exhausted to its limit. Experience in combat is indispensable. Without 10 years of martial arts, they could not get to their essence. Fusion was a rapid method, and the martial arts fusion would consume the martial art entity of the skill book. After the fusion, Cheng Dale was able to fully use the martial arts, however he could not teach others. The system appeared, warning Cheng Dale that the level of the host was not enough, and the use of martial arts after the fusion would be a great burden on his body. She asked if he would like to continue the fusion. Cheng Dale held his sword and told the system to fuse as he charged towards Boss Bear and his men. As they charged at each other, Boss Bear's men yelled to kill Cheng Dale with everything they had. Cheng Dale's sword emitted a blue aura as he unleashed his speedy sword technique. The first style was straightforward, which made Cheng Dale blitz through Boss Bear. He thought that his sword was fast. After the first blow, Cheng Dale claimed that he was hurt and his wrist bone felt pain like it had been broken. Cheng Dale thought that with his current strength, he wouldn't be able to master the style perfectly as he slashed and dashed through his enemy. He believed that he could stab a maximum of 7 times. Boss Bear's men were slashed, making them groan as Cheng Dale blitzed through them one by one. Cheng Dale turned as he was about to encounter Boss Bear's huge axe behind him. Cheng Dale tightly clenched his sword as he was about to deflect Boss Bear's axe. He held his sword with both of his hands and was about to thrust at him. He slashed Boss Bear, making him cough blood, and thought that Cheng Dale was strong. Behind him, Cheng Dale knelt one of his legs. Kin Man and the others stood by as Cheng Dale stood firm, while Boss Bear and his men lay unconscious on the ground. Kin Man was in disbelief after just a few breaths. Cheng Dale took care of so many people before he had the chance to do anything. He asked Cheng Dale when he had learned such excellent swordplay. Cheng Dale, on his back, spoke if Kin Man thought the gods had only passed on their axe technique to him, and that he was also regarded as a first-class master as of the time. At the end of the fusion, Cheng Dale's martial arts techniques were integrated into the deep consciousness of the host. The system warned him that his body was in a high state of stress, and now he had been forced into sleep mode. Concerned, Cheng Dale's men asked what was wrong with him, as Cheng Dale fell to the ground asking them to wake up. Some time later, Cheng Dale woke up and noticed that Liu Jihan was calling him after he had opened his eyes. Bedridden, Cheng Dale called for Liu Jihan, as Liu Jihan covered her mouth in disbelief. She leaped to him and hugged him, relieved that Cheng Dale had awakened. Liu Jihan informed the villagers that Cheng Dale had now awakened. Cheng Dale petted Liu Jihan and asked Kin Man how long he had been out. Kin Man responded that he'd been out for a full day and night, as his sword style had been used in the business world and was not suitable on the battlefield. He looked at Zhu Shenji and asked him if something had happened during the time he had passed out. Zhu Shenji informed him that Yang Longting had taken away Boss Bear's body, and that Yang Longting had praised him and sent him many rewards. Curious, Cheng Dalei asked Zhu Shenji what Yang Longting had sent. Zhu Shenji responded that there were 200 pieces of silver, 10 pieces of jade, 50 pieces of silk, and some furniture. Cheng Dalei's face darkened, and he mumbled that Yang Longting had sent useless things. Liu Jihan looked at him and told Cheng Dalei that his reputation had spread all over Yuzhu City, and now everyone knew about the Toad Village. She asked him why he still looked unhappy after that. Cheng Dalei responded that if he had more power and strength, he would not have to be at others' beck and call. He brushed Liu Jihan's hair as he mumbled that he hoped Boss Bear's corpse could satisfy Yang Longting for a few days. Day after day passed. The snow melted, and everything came back to life. The construction of the village was nearing completion. At the new Toad Village, the men tried to pull the wooden bridge in front of their gate. One man yelled and informed them that the drawbridge had been raised and the gates had been installed. They were ordered to open the floodgates. The red-haired girl ordered them to get the crossbows and slingshot up the wall, as she wanted to have more crossbows on the wall. She ordered more rocks too. A system notification popped up, stating that the construction of the village was complete and the system upgrade was finished. In the morning, Cheng Dalei sat alone on the balcony. He was thinking after the construction of the village had been completed. He had only been notified about a system upgrade, but not about an upgrade to a third-level village. While he held onto a scroll, he kept thinking that, therefore, there were no additional attributes of the system. Only the podium for summons, residential buildings, medical center, military observation posts, warehouse, blacksmith shop, woodworking store, clothing store, and wondered what exactly was missing. A dainty hand emerged, held the scroll, and requested for her to take a look. Cheng Dalei looked back and was surprised. As soon as he realized it was the system, he flushed. Cheng Dalei was amazed that the system had evolved. Then he began to wonder how big she had become, to which she agreed the podium for summons, training ground as such these were already available, and the condition of the 1,000 inhabitants was now fulfilled. The system figured out the problem as she said that there was one more item missing. A pop-out box appeared that he had a top-level character was still missing with 2/3 of completion. Cheng Dalei thought in his mind that he did not look at anything that was not compatible with decency, and asked the system as he had been wanting to for a long time. Even though it said that only he could see her. The system used to be so small, but now they were so big and that she was already a big girl, so she needed to pay attention too, which made the system further confused. Cheng Dalei continued to say that she wore a skirt every day and flew over his head and asked her if she wasn't afraid to expose herself as he might have seen it by accident, to which the system was stunned. He had a lot to say about her not being a bully to the lottery machine, her violent tendencies, and told her to be a more polite lady, suggesting to draw 10 times but couldn't guarantee him a top-level character, podium for summons, and as to why she couldn't send him a top martial artist, which could be beneficial to everyone, which made the system angry. The system punched Cheng Dalei and yelled at him to die and called him a pervert. Cheng Dalei was lying on the ground, and the system continued berating him for being shameless and a pervert and asked him where he had looked every day. She was really enraged with Cheng Dalei. She even called him a dumbass. A few moments later, Cheng Dalei asked Guan Yu if he had improved on his sword fighting training, asked Zhang about whether he felt comfortable with his snake spear, and if he felt divine power that could stop 10,000 opponents by himself, and also suggested to Lin Xiaoyu to practice with a weapon as he aspired to be a warrior. Xiaoyu replied, "How could I practice when I didn't have a weapon anymore?" Cheng Dalei answered him to go to the blacksmith Zhu and have her forge a weapon for him. He sighed, feeling dejected because it seemed impossible for anyone to level up in a short time. On the day of the awakening, the spring thunder appeared, and everything came to life. It was raining when Cheng Dalei sat on the balcony with Liu Zhai, pondering where he could find the third one. She asked her village master that the village was built, yet he was still unhappy and offered to sing a little song for him. Cheng Dalei agreed aimlessly and said whatever, but in his mind, he had thought that even though he had merged himself with a fast sword style, he was still only excellent. He pondered about the chances of pulling top level with 100,000 fear points at the podium for summons, and it seemed that he only had the option of accumulating 1,000,000 fear points to trade for a top level character directly through the system. Liu Zhai kept singing while the rain kept pouring. She smiled while singing beautifully. Cheng Dale asked her how she knew this, to which she replied that she was able to do that before. Cheng Dale was in awe after learning it at a youth center. He placed his palm on her head and assured her that Yan Jihan was gone and she was now Liu Zhai. He added that she was his Liu Zhai. A few days later, Yang Longting raised 50,000 troops and sent them to Black Rock City. A soldier informed Yang Longting that in front of him was the Toad village of Qin Niu Mountain, to which he acknowledged and responded that this time they would let the Toad village clear the way. It was also about time to put those mountain bandits to good use. As they moved along, they were welcomed by cheerful bandits waving a red flag, hoping they would enjoy their stay with them and wishing them all the best of luck and success. Meanwhile, they were stunned by the Toad village. Yang Longting told Zhu Shenji, who was wearing a black face mask, that he intended to send the people of Qin Niu Mountain ahead so he could promote him later, and asked what he had been doing, where he had been, and why he hadn't come out for Cheng Dale to see him. Zhu Shenji replied that his village master had been sick and unable to greet the Lord in person and hoped that the king would punish him for that. Yang Longting suspected him of faking his illness as he had gotten sick at just the right time. Zhu Shenji respectfully replied that, to be honest with him, not only had the village master been sick, but there had also been many people sick in the village at the moment. Qin Niu Mountain had been fighting the plague right now, to which he questioned this plague. He then questioned what kind of plague it was and how come he had never heard of a plague in this area, to which Zhu Shenji responded by asking him to come closer. Yang Longting leaned closer to Zhu Shenji as he whispered to him if he had ever heard of salsa, which made him wonder. Zhu Shenji explained that it meant that once the disease broke out, it could kill anyone. Yang Longting simply stared at him while pondering the fact that it had not been a coincidence that just when he had wanted to use him, he had gotten sick. However, if he were to become infected, his 50,000-man army could collapse in a day. He then demanded that Zhu Shenji inform Cheng Dale to come to him on the spot immediately, and Zhu Shenji replied that his village master had been infected with the plague. But he also threatened that if Cheng Dale did not come to him, he should not blame him for cleaning the people of Qin Niu Mountain first. Unsteady steps were heard calling out for Yang Longting, who was referred to as my lord. Cheng Dale, who was shaky and fragile, arrived while being carried out by another bandit while he sobbed, begging his village master to hold on. Cheng Dale informed Yang Longting that he had come to visit him. Yang Longting asked him if he had been really sick. Cheng Dale coughed as he denied that he had not been sick and claimed to have been in good health. He had prepared his armor and accompanied the Lord on his journey to repay his kindness. Yang Longting advised him to get treatment if he had been sick, adding that it had never been too late to protect his family and country when he would be well again. He instructed to call for a military doctor to treat General Cheng, to which the military doctor complied. The military doctor checked Cheng Dale's eye and told him to stick his tongue out a little, which he obeyed. Yang Longting asked if he had been really sick. The military doctor replied to His Majesty that General Cheng's body had been cold and his pulmonary veins had been injured. If not treated in time, his life would have been in danger. Yang Longting demanded to call another military doctor again and cited how a charlatan could have cured his general's illness. Then he thought in his mind if he had been really infected with the plague and wondered if he had accused him wrongly. Another military doctor checked Cheng Dale. He also told His Majesty. After a discussion, the three of the military doctors agreed that he had been seriously ill. Despite being visibly weak and coughing, Cheng Dale insisted that he had not been sick and he would have killed the enemy and served the king. Later on, Yang Longting gave in and told Cheng Dale if he had been sick, he needed to get better and later he would have a chance to prove himself. Then he thought in his mind, he had had the plague and still wanted to join his army and wondered if he had wanted to kill him. The 50,000-strong Yuzhu army departed on horses. Cheng Dale waved them goodbye as he stood behind, telling them they must have triumphed in one fell swoop and swept everything away, even though he couldn't have accompanied them. The ability of his village master to pretend as sick while the three doctors had missed it astounded Zhu Shenji, who thought it had been awesome, but found it really scary.